I still remember the first time I saw Shutter Island. The sea was rough, the sky was gray, and the place looked less like a hospital and more like a prison sitting on the edge of the world. They said it was a mental institution, but to me it felt like a fortress built to keep secrets buried. I wasn't alone. My partner, Chuck, was by my side. We were U.S. Marshals on a case. At least that's what I believed. A patient had disappeared. A woman, locked in her room one moment and gone the next. Our job was to find out how she escaped. That was the mission. That's what brought us to this rock. But the truth is, I had more than the case on my mind. I had Dolores, my wife. She'd been dead for years, taken from me in a fire started by a man named Andrew Laeddis. That name was carved into me like a scar. Every step I took on that island, every question I asked, every suspicion I had, it all tied back to him. I couldn't shake the feeling that he was here, hidden somewhere inside Ashcliff. And if I could find him, maybe I'd finally get justice. When we arrived, the first thing I noticed was the security. Gates clanged shut behind us. Guards stood with rifles ready. It wasn't a hospital. It was a prison for the lost. Dr. Colley, the man in charge, greeted us with a calm smile, but his words were too smooth, too measured. He told us about the missing patient, but his eyes gave me nothing. I didn't trust him, not for a second. Chuck and I started talking to the staff, to the patients. Some of them were open, others shut down the moment we asked about Rachel Solando, the missing woman. I could feel the tension in every room we entered. They didn't want us there. One patient even scribbled a single word on my notepad when no one was watching. Run. That word burned into me. Why warn me? What were they trying to keep me from discovering? And then the storm hit. A hurricane that shook the island, tearing down trees and cutting off the power. We were trapped. No boats, no way off. The walls of Ashcliff closed in tighter with every flash of lightning. I tried to sleep, but there was no rest for me. That's when Dolores came back. Not in flesh and blood, but in my dreams. I saw her face, I heard her voice. She told me things, whispered warnings about the island, about the doctors, about the danger. She told me Andrew Laeddis was here. And when I woke up, her words clung to me like smoke. The visions didn't stop. Sometimes I saw her crumbling into ashes in my arms. Other times I saw children I didn't recognize, their bodies cold and wet as if they'd drowned. The images struck me like lightning, sharp and unrelenting. I tried to push them away, but the harder I fought, the stronger they came back. My mind was spinning, but I kept pushing forward. The deeper I dug, the darker the island became. I started to believe this place wasn't a hospital at all, but a laboratory, a place where they tested new treatments, maybe even brainwashing experiments. I thought about the war, about Dachau, about the frozen bodies piled in the camps I helped liberate, the cruelty of men, the darkness of science unchecked. I'd seen it before, and I believed I was seeing it again. Then Chuck disappeared. My partner, my anchor in all of this, gone without a trace. Fear hit me harder than any storm. I was convinced they had taken him, just like Rachel. I searched, desperate, until my eyes landed on the lighthouse. That's where the truth had to be, I was sure of it. They were doing something there. Lobotomies, experiments, horrors I couldn't even name. I forced my way inside, ready to expose everything. But what I found wasn't cages or bodies. It was Dr. Colley, sitting calmly, waiting for me. And the words he spoke shattered the world around me. He told me I wasn't Teddy Daniels. He told me I was Andrew Laeddis, a patient. Not a marshal, not a man on a case, just a broken soul locked away in Ashcliff. At first I fought him. I laughed, I raged, I denied it with every ounce of strength I had. But he kept talking, peeling back the layers of the story I had built around myself. And then he said Dolores hadn't died in a fire. She drowned our children. Our 3 children. She filled their lungs with water when I was away. And when I came home and found them, my babies dead in the lake, I lost everything. Dolores stood there whispering that we had to let them go. And I pulled the trigger. I killed her. The memories tore through me like a flood. I saw my children again, Daniel, Rachel, James, floating, pale and still. I felt the weight of them in my arms. I felt the gun in my hand when I pointed it at Dolores. The recoil, the silence after. For the first time, I couldn't run from it. I couldn't pretend. The truth was undeniable and it crushed me. And then Chuck walked in. Only it wasn't Chuck. It was Dr. Sheehan, my doctor. The man who had been with me this whole time, guiding me, watching me. He wasn't my partner. He was my keeper. And suddenly everything clicked. The case, the investigation, the island, it was all a role-playing. A last-ditch effort by the doctors to break me free of the lies I'd told myself. For a moment it worked. For a moment I remembered who I really was. Andrew Laeddis. A husband, a father, a murderer, and a man drowning in guilt. But the weight of that truth was too much. To live every day with those memories, to carry that pain, it was unbearable. So I let myself slip away again. I became Teddy Daniels, the Marshal, the man on a mission. It was easier that way. In the end, I sat with Sheehan on the steps outside. The morning was calm, almost peaceful, and I asked him something that still lingers in the air. Which would be worse, to live as a monster or to die as a good man? He didn't answer. He didn't have to. We both knew what I had chosen. As the guards came for me, I stood up and walked with them, towards the lighthouse, towards the procedure that would take it all away, my memories, my pain, my truth. And that was it. Teddy Daniels, U.S. Marshal, vanished into the shadows. Andrew Laeddis, a broken father, was silenced. And Shutter Island became the place where I would stay, not as an investigator, but as a ghost of the man I once was.